There are several credible news reports today that what's going to come out in the next day or so is a report, internal report, Department of Justice from the Inspector General, being very critical of James Comey as FBI director, that he took steps that he shouldn't have taken in investigating Secretary Clinton's emails. When I interviewed your wife, Secretary Clinton, last fall, she said that James Comey was the proximate cause of her defeat because of the way he handled that investigation. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I agree for factual reasons. I was there looking at the results coming in, and you could see, I mean, when it's 11 days before the election, when he had not told us that he was investigating whether President Putin was trying to interfere on behalf of Donald Trump. And we now know he talked one of the major newspapers who knew it also out of running a story on that. We know that from them. When he had done that, for him to violate for the second time in the election cycle decades of bipartisan policy and dropping that email thing, it was like a 5-point drop overnight. I've never seen anything like it.
It all began with revelations around Harvey Weinstein, the Hollywood producer. He was a good friend of yours and Mrs. Clinton's. He gave a lot of money to your campaigns. I guess he also contributed to your defense effort during the impeachment period. There were so many accusations by women against him. You never had any sense, never heard anything or saw anything about him that gave you pause?
And so I didn't know. No one ever said anything to me.
Sensitive question.
And where was the media? You know, Charlie Rose. I mean, did anybody know about Charlie? I don't know. And also, to me, in terms of just media being the kind of investigators they should be, people are talking about the casting couch out in Hollywood for 40 years, 50 years, whatever the heck it is. Why no investigations? Why does it take this to all of a sudden get, to me, what should have been done 30 years ago? The Me Too thing should have happened a long time ago. Long time ago.
Sensitive question, President Clinton. Your relationship with Monica Lewinsky, you've said your impeachment was inappropriate, it was wrong. You've also said that you paid a price, that you left office $16 million or so in debt. Today you're a
That was the least of it. I mean, the price that I paid mostly was the pain I caused to my wife and daughter, and feeling terrible about the exposure she had and the way I let my staff down, the cabinet. I mean, it was awful, but I had to live with this for there. I'd always prided myself on treating people right, living with what happened. Yeah.
You paid a price. Do you think Ms. Lewinsky paid a higher price, a harder price?
Oh, I don't know. I think she paid quite a price. The price that I used to worry about all the time for, and I was glad to see, like when she went back to school, made another career, had a television show, gave a really compelling TED Talk, you know, did other things, is that I was afraid that, you know, she would be frozen in the public mind for the rest of her life and what happened. And I didn't want that for her. And I think she's tried to build a bigger, different, broader life, and I hope she has.
I assume you think that what happened with you was more serious than what happened with former Senator Al Franken. He was driven from office from the U.S. Senate. So norms have changed. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, in general, I think it's a good thing, yes. I think it's a good thing that we should all have higher standards. I think the norms have really changed in terms of what you can do to somebody against their will, how much you can crowd their space, make them miserable at work. You don't have to physically assault somebody to make them, you know, uncomfortable at work or at home or in their utter just walking around. That I think is good. I think I'll be honest, the Franken case for me was a difficult case, a hard case. There may be things I don't know, but maybe I'm just an old-fashioned person, but it seemed to me that there were 29 women on Saturday Night Live that put out a statement for him, and that the first and most fantastic story was called, I believe, Into Question. Too late to wade into it now. And I think it's a grievous thing to take away from the people a decision they have made, especially with his election coming up again.
This tape is generating intense interest. In just 48 hours, it's become the single most talked about story of the entire 2016 election on Facebook, with millions and millions of people discussing it on the social network. As we said a moment ago, we do want to bring in questions from voters around the country via social media, and our first stays on this topic. Jeff from Ohio asks on Facebook, Trump says the campaign has changed him. When did that happen? So, Mr. Trump, let me add to that. When you walked off that bus at age 59, were you a different man, or did that behavior continue until just recently? And you have 2 minutes for this.
As I told you, that was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I am a person who has great respect for people, for my family, for the people of this country, and certainly I'm not proud of it. But that was something that happened. If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. His was what he's done to women. There's never been anybody in the history of politics in this nation that's been so abusive to women. So you can say any way you want to say it, but Bill Clinton was abusive to women. Hillary Clinton attacked those same women and attacked them viciously. 4 of them here tonight. One of the women, who is a wonderful woman, at 12 years old, was raped at 12. Her client, she represented, got him off, and she's seen laughing on 2 separate occasions, laughing at the girl who was raped. Kathy Shelton, that young woman, is here with us tonight. So don't tell me about words. I apologize for those words. But it is things that people say. But what President Clinton did, he was impeached. He lost his license to practice law. He had to pay an $850,000 fine to one of the women, Paula Jones, who's also here tonight. And I will tell you that when Hillary brings up a point like that, and she talks about words that I said 11 years ago, I think it's disgraceful, and I think she should be ashamed of herself, if you want to know the truth.
Can we please hold the applause? Secretary Clinton, you have 2 minutes.
Well, first, let me start by saying that so much of what he's just said is not right, but he gets to run his campaign any way he chooses. He gets to decide what he wants to talk about. Instead of answering people's questions, talking about our agenda, laying out the plans that we have that we think can make a better life and a better country, that's his choice. When I hear something like that, I am reminded of what my friend Michelle Obama advised us all. When they go low, you go high. And he never apologized for the racist lie that President Obama was not born in the United States of America. He owes the president an apology. He owes our country an apology. And he needs to take responsibility for his actions and his words.
After getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails, and then you acid wash them, or bleach them, as you would say, a very expensive process. So we're going to get a special prosecutor, and we're going to look into it, because you know what? People have been Their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done, and it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary Clinton, I want to follow up on that. I'm going to let you talk about emails.
Because everything he just said is absolutely false, but I'm not surprised.
Really?
In the first debate,
and the audience needs to calm down here.
I told people that it would be impossible to be fact-checking Donald all the time. I'd never get to talk about anything I want to do and how we're going to really make lives better for people. So once again, go to HillaryClinton.com. We have literally Trump. You can fact check him in real time. Last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact-checking, so I expect we'll have millions more fact-checking because, you know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Tonight, Monica Lewinsky's attorneys tell us that she has told prosecutors all she knows. They describe what they call a complete account of her relationship with President Clinton. But that account was given over the telephone today and was not written down. Prosecutors are still trying to decide whether they will offer immunity. This new threat came on the same day that the president finally rallied to his own defense. The president had been silent 3 days. His lawyers wanted it that way. But the political damage was rising much too fast. Today, drawn and bleary-eyed, Mr. Clinton joined the battle to save his presidency.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
He turned his back on questions as the First Lady followed, applauding. The woman who could bring down the president appeared for the first time today, leaving her apartment with her lawyer. Lewinsky has indicated she will accuse Mr. Clinton of a sexual relationship, but only with a guarantee from prosecutors.
He knows that I want essentially full immunity. He knows that I want and will accept nothing less than a promise not to prosecute. So how close we are is really in his hands, not mine.
Tonight, independent counsel Kenneth Starr is considering whether to accept Lewinsky's oral statement. He had been insisting on a written version. CBS News has learned the independent counsel is investigating reports that people working in the White House spotted Mr. Clinton and Lewinsky alone in the mansion at various times. Secret Service records have been subpoenaed. The agents expect to be next. The White House strongly denies the reports.
The president's denial is quite clear that there couldn't have been that type of encounter. We've checked even with people who would have presumably been brought a report of any incident of that nature, and they categorically deny there was such an incident.
Sources tell CBS News Lewinsky was a frequent visitor to the White House long after she left the staff. Last month, she was cleared in at least 4 times, including weekends and evenings. But her welcome seems to have ended 3 weeks ago. On January 3rd, she was denied entry at the gate. And sources tell CBS News she threw a fit, screaming, "Don't you know who I am?" The president was traveling the day Lewinsky was turned away. 4 days later, she signed her sworn affidavit that she never had sex with Mr. Clinton. A grand jury is due to convene tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. The grand jury will be hearing from witnesses that include the president's friend Vernon Jordan and the president's own personal secretary.
It took 7 more months for the other shoe to drop, and the Daily News ran the story with the caption, "Liar, liar." After President Clinton admitted to having an inappropriate relationship with Monica Lewinsky, the president was impeached by the House, but then acquitted by the United States Senate.